Hello friends, latest news from Poland. Crackdown on fake law enforcers, total tax monitoring, five-fold increase in fines, and big problems for Ukrainians with UKR status. The Polish authorities are moving to strict control in all areas, from checking illegal street patrols and total surveillance of businesses to cutting benefits for refugees and financial penalties. Let's break down the main restrictions being tightened this week. Please give a like, subscribe to the channel, friends, and like to support Aerodynamics. Simple actions take just 2 seconds. Thank you for your support. By the way, just a reminder, the best money transfer service is TransferGo. The link is in the description. Send money to your family and loved ones, support them, register, and so on. Well, let's get down to business. Ukrainians who come to Poland are increasingly being denied UKR status, according to the media. They report that Ukrainian citizens coming to Poland are really facing difficulties when applying for temporary protection status. Some employers and business support organizations say that certain institutions have started changing their approach to issuing PSL UKR, despite the seemingly mandatory rules for everyone. One of these situations was reported by DGP, a publication, according to a representative of a company that intended to employ a Ukrainian citizen who came to Poland for work from Ukraine. What's the issue? The Ukrainian applied for a PSL UKRA, but he received a PSL with NUE status. These actions were explained by the fact that the applicant does not come from a region where active hostilities are taking place, so he is not entitled to a PSL UKR. An interesting interpretation, of course. I hope that the law will prevail. Entrepreneurs say that such cases are not isolated, and that's really true. There are also reports that institutions are increasingly checking whether a person actually came to Poland because of the war or mainly for economic reasons. Institutions remind us that the UKR status allows Ukrainians to legally reside in Poland, access public healthcare, and get a job without having to go through complicated administrative procedures. And the problem is not limited to those who are currently arriving from Ukraine. Experts note that those who previously had UKR status but lost it after a long absence from Poland also have a problem, and that's absolutely true as well. After returning, they face a refusal to have it reinstated. That's just how it is. That's the situation. Friends, write in the comments if you or your acquaintances have faced the issue of losing UKR status. And of course, the employer isn't happy about paying extra money for coverage, for permits, when they could have just hired someone right off the street. Next, we have the second piece of news. Civilian patrols, ordinary citizen patrols, are now under the scrutiny of the prosecutor's office. Remember, we talked about this attempt to play at being law enforcement? It all ended with searches. Another wave of amateur activity has appeared on the streets of the capital. This time, law enforcement has finally decided to seriously deal with the individuals who took the motto, "If you want something done right, do it yourself," a little too literally. This is about those alternatively gifted people who started pretending to be fierce law enforcement officers. That's it. The police, together with the prosecutor's office, gave a shake-up to these so-called civilian patrols with the loud name, "We defend Polish borders." Well, we defend Polish ones. The Polish border, of course, at Warsaw's train station. Where else? A series of searches took place across the country. Computers, phones, and other digital media were seized, which investigators will now study, I really hope, with special attention. Well, let me remind you, for those who forgot, it all started when these activists put on clothes that resembled the uniforms of real law enforcement officers, jumped into a minibus, and went to the central train station in Warsaw. Why? To intimidate foreigners. Come on, show your documents. We're going to interrogate you now, record it on camera, and show off our supposed state authority. And who are they? Who, if not us, will protect and safeguard Poland? Of course, videos of these exploits quickly spread on social media, and lawyers immediately asked the obvious question, "Excuse me, but who are you? These costumed clowns, who exactly are you?" Because pretending to be an official and organizing racial or nationality-based profiling on the streets, I really hope that under Polish law, this is a direct path to the defendant's bench, and that the case won't just be swept under the rug. Yes, thankfully, the police didn't find the joke funny and made it clear that the monopoly on checking documents and maintaining public order lies solely with the state. Donald Tusk spoke harshly. Yes, once again he called the activities of this group political hooliganism and promised that everyone who tries to take the place of legitimate authorities will be held accountable. Well, let's see when the sentences start coming down and how many people actually end up behind bars. Otherwise, they might just wag their finger and say, "Hey, that's not good." Well, it's nothing, guys. Go ahead and keep walking. We really hope that the show is over and these patriots will testify to investigators and stand before the court. Alright, next. Next we have what we'll call the big brother at the ministerial table, about how Polish tax officials carried out a digital purge on businesses. While election battles are raging on Poland's political stage, a real technological revolution has quietly unfolded in the depths of the Polish Ministry of Finance. If any entrepreneurs thought that the good old days would continue, when a gloomy inspector in a grey suit might visit your office once every 3 years, I'm afraid I have to disappoint you. The traditional mask shows are a thing of the past. It's 2026 now, and everything is moving into total endless contact monitoring. There's a recent report from some organization, basically the Levitan Confederation, Levitian, connected with all sorts of economic matters, that shows numbers that would make any business person's hair stand on end, right? Give a like for the joke. Last year, the Polish tax authorities carried out almost 2.3 million so-called verification procedures. Citizens, comrades, friends, just think about the scale of this Stakhanovite productivity. On average, that's 19 new procedures every minute. Now officials inspect companies remotely from their offices instead of visiting in person. Every second, files are being uploaded to the database, and the regional e-invoice systems collect information about any of your transactions in real time. That means the system monitors business 24/7. And I have to admit, this soulless digital machine works quite efficiently. It might even scare someone. Just last year alone, they squeezed almost 11 billion zlotys in hidden taxes out of businesses. That's a quarter more than the year before. And in just 5 years, they've raked in almost 39 billion. So of course, their effectiveness is definitely not in question. The officials' maneuver is brilliant. These inspection actions are presented as a simplified, friendly procedure. Minimal paperwork, no restrictions for the inspector. And as a taxpayer, you have almost no rights. You press a button and there you go. A ready-made protocol for an extra payment. The entrepreneurs themselves are shocked. As I already said, it makes your hair stand on end. 91% have already been caught by this steamroller. Businesses are demanding at least some kind of limits. Let's somehow regulate the timeframes, report on the closure of cases, so that we don't have to live in a state of constant searches. As a result, in terms of tax system competitiveness, Poland has dropped to 35th place out of 38 countries of this common, European zone. Laws change every year, rules are rewritten on the fly, and now every 6 steps are watched by the invisible eye of a tax algorithm. Well, that's digital capitalism as it is. Friends, if you run a business in Poland, or your friends or acquaintances do, write in the comments whether things have gotten better, worse, or if everything is okay. So, what else caught my attention, friends? Wallet or sobriety. In Poland, fines for drivers who break the law are skyrocketing. Drivers or drivers, which is correct? There you go. For those who like to get behind the wheel after a fun evening or day, and for some, maybe it even starts in the morning. In short, tougher times are coming. If before you had to pay for foolishness with a fine, now the government's tax axe has hit offenders' pockets with particular cynicism. Starting from June 24th, pay attention to the calendar, the cost of the mandatory 2-day retraining courses for those caught driving drunk or under the influence of drugs will increase exactly 5-fold. Previously, this procedure cost a modest 500 zlotys, although that was already quite a bit. But now you'll have to fork over 2,500 right away. In other words, without taking these courses, you won't be able to get your license back after it's been revoked. The Polish Ministry of Health justifies this financial blow simply. The old price was hopelessly out of touch with economic realities, and the educational effect for 500 zlotys, well, was kind of lacking. Now, for this money, offenders won't just get a moral lecture, they'll also get lessons about how alcohol causes cancer, how it ruins your heart, as they say. They'll empty your wallet, check your health, and give you a lecture. That's the news, friends. We continue to follow what's happening in Poland, including, of course, regarding Ukrainians. So, please leave your likes and write comments. Thanks to everyone watching, and greetings to the working class. I'm giving a like. Turners, millers, fitters, warehouse workers, truck drivers, guys, a big proletarian hello to all of you. Thank you. Who wrote... Oh, excuse me. Cheers. If you watched this far, write, Dennis made it this far. Where from? Maybe you're watching from Calais, from Santorini, from Saint Etienne. Where are you watching? I can't think of any other cities starting with S. Wait, there's Stockholm. There you go. Swansea. No, Swansea is something else. Swansea is a football club from Wales. Alright, that's it. Please excuse my French mumbling. That's all. That's all for now. See you next time.